शुभेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Continuing our study and discussion from the 15th chapter of the first canto, the Pandavas retired timely, and we see the reminiscence of Arjuna. How greatly indebted is Arjuna. In whatever he achieved, whatever success came his way, the essential hand of Krishna was there. Arjuna just acted as an instrument, and how Krishna enabled him to achieve what he had achieved. So Arjuna is very well acknowledging. He is remembering, he is feeling deep separation, his heart is filled with agony, and he is speaking, he is acknowledging what all favors he received from Krishna, being his intimate friend and devotee. Going forward from verse number 17. Saute vrata kumat Saute vrata kumatina atmada ishvaro me yadpad padmam abhavay ajanti bhavyah yadpad padmam abhavay bhajanti bhavya mam shantvaham aryo rathino bhuvistam na praharan yad anubhava nirasta chittah. It was by his mercy only that my enemies neglected to kill me when I descended from my chariot to get water for my thirsty horses. So while there was this combat, there was this fight, it continued for many, many days. How many days the fight of Mahabharata happened? It continued for how many days? The Mahabharata war was for how many days? Why only Ramya has to answer? No, Sonika has joined, of course. Dayashil, you are the oldest student. You are not clear on these basic facts. Yeah, boliye.
Prabhuji, 18 days.
Yes. 18 days. Yes, 18 days. So in 18 days, there were many, many such situations where the horses were thirsty and Arjuna had to, step down from his chariot. We see one incident where Karna stepped down and Arjuna killed him. But many times it happened that Arjuna also stepped down because of various reasons. One of the reasons being that the horses were thirsty. But Arjuna was protected. And it was due to my lack of esteem for my Lord that I dared engage him as my chariot driver. For he is worshipped and offered services by the best of men to attain salvation. The Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the object of worship for both the impersonalists and the devotees of the Lord. The impersonalists worship his glowing effulgence emanating from his transcendental body of eternal form, bliss, and knowledge. And the devotees worship him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are below even the impersonalists consider him to be one of the great historical personalities. The Lord, however, descends to attract all by his specific transcendental pastimes. And thus he plays the part of the most perfect master, friend, son, and lover. His transcendental relation with Arjuna was in friendship, and the Lord therefore played the part perfectly as he did with his parents, lovers, and wives. While the devotee plays in such a perfect transcendental relation, he forgets by the internal potency of the Lord that his friend or son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although sometimes the devotee is bewildered by the acts of the Lord, after the departure of the Lord, Arjuna was conscious of his great friend. But there was no mistake on the part of Arjuna, nor any ill estimation of the Lord. Intelligent men are attracted by the transcendental acting of the Lord with a pure, unalloyed devotee like Arjuna. So we see always that whoever is Lord's associate is intimate in relationship with the Lord. So he is under the spell of the internal potency, Yoga Maya. It works both ways, see. And the Mahamaya, it also makes us forget that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Jiva thinks that he can replace the Supreme Personality of Godhead and he can enjoy. He wants to take the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the Supreme Enjoyer. Whereas in the case of his eternal associates, his intimate friends, and as other rasas they exchange, they also forget that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what is the difference? In both cases, the living entity forgets that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even by the influence of the external energy and also by the influence of the internal energy. So Prabhupada is mentioning it. So where is the difference? And what is the difference? Yes, there, Shilpa.
Prabhuji, they are devotee and they are under the shelter of the internal energy, but the living entities, they are under the shelter of external energy.
That is what I am asking. In both cases, they forget that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then what is the difference? The external energy also makes the Jiva forget that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the internal potency is also working in the same way. It is making the associate forget that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So where is the difference? And what is the difference?
Prabhuji, here we are seeing that Arjuna he knows, Prabhuji, that his position he knows. Here also we are seeing that
You complete the purport. You are not giving me you have not understood the question. Yes, Sonika?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
In first case where Jiva forgets that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he is under the external potency, he just act to fulfill his own desire, means for the sense gratification only. But in other case, the Jiva work or act in such a ways to please Krishna only.
Yes, that is the big difference. That is the big difference. The external energy Maya kicks the Jiva away from Krishna, but the internal potency brings the Jiva closer to Krishna by engaging him in pure unalloyed service. The reciprocation of rasa is not possible. The intimacy and sweetness is not possible if the Jiva comes to know that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then there cannot be any exchange like a son or like a friend or like a lover. Then that is not possible. So the internal potency makes the Jiva cover that relationship. So this is, and the Prabhupada is saying that there is no fault. There is no fault, Prabhupada is saying here. While the devotee plays in such a perfect transcendental relation, he forgets by the internal potency of the Lord that his friend or son is the Supreme Personality of God. Although sometimes the devotee is bewildered by the acts of the Lord, after the departure of the Lord, Arjuna was conscious of his great friend. But there was no mistake on the part of Arjuna, nor any ill estimation of the Lord. Intelligent men are attracted by the transcendental acting of the Lord with a pure, unalloyed devotee like Arjuna. In the war field, scarcity of water is well-known fact. Water is very rare there, and both the animals and men working strenuously on the war field constantly require water to quench their thirst. Especially wounded soldiers and generals feel very thirsty at the time of death. And it sometimes so happens that simply for want of water, one has to die unavoidably. But such scarcity of water was solved in the Battle of Kurukshetra by means of boring the ground by God's grace. Water can be easily obtained from any place if there is facility for boring the ground. The modern system works on the same principle of boring the ground, but modern engineers are still unable to immediately dig a well whenever necessary. It appears, however, from the history as far back as the days of the Pandavas, that big generals like Arjuna could at once supply water even to the horses. And what to speak of men by drawing water from underneath the hard ground simply by penetrating the stratum with sharp arrow, a method still unknown to the modern scientist. So Arjuna was very expert. How Arjuna quenched the thirst of Bhishmadev. Bhishmadev was on the bed of arrows for more than 50 days. Did he not drink water? So how Arjuna arranged water? By using his arrows. He released the arrow with such force that it could penetrate the stratum of the ground and the water could sprinkle out. And it was such a perfect way that the water dropped directly into the lotus mouth of Bhishmadev. So Arjuna is remembering that it was by Krishna's grace, it was by Krishna's mercy that so many times such situations happened, but he was not attacked or killed. Why? Because Krishna was protecting. Narmani udara ruchiro smita shobhitani he parthe Arjuna sakhe kurunandaneti sanjalpitani naradev hriday sparshani smarturluthanti hridayam madhavasya. Very similar to the verses which Arjuna speaks in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. O king, his jokes and frank talks were pleasing and beautifully decorated with smiles. And he would address me, O son of Partha, O son of Pritha, O friend, O son of Kuru dynasty. All such hearty dealings are now remembered by me, and thus I am overwhelmed. So this speaks about the closeness, the intimacy that Arjuna had with Krishna. Similar verses in the 11th chapter, where Arjuna is pleading when he sees the universal form of the Lord. And he says that many times I have failed to offer you proper respects. Why? Because I was thinking you only my friend. (41 and 42) in the 11th chapter. Sakheti matva prasabam yaduktam he Krishna he Yadava he Sakheti ajanata mahimanam tavedam maya parmadat pranayena vapi. Thinking of you as my friend, I have rashly addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadava. And how Krishna is addressing, O son of Pritha, O friend, O son of the Kuru dynasty. Not knowing your glories, please forgive me, whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times, jesting as we relaxed lay on the same bed, or sat or ate together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. O infallible one, please excuse me for all those offenses. So Arjuna is remembering all those very intimate dealings. Such hearty dealings are now remembered by me, and thus I am overwhelmed. Sayyasana atana vikatthana bhojanadisu ekyat vayasya ritvan iti vipralabdha sakhyo sakheva pitravat tanayasya sarvam sehe mahan mahitya kumarate ragham. Generally, both of us used to live together and sleep, sit and loiter together, and at the time of advertising oneself, for act of chivalry sometimes, if there were any irregularity, I used to reproach him by saying, "My friend, you are very truthful." Even in those hours when his value was minimized, he, being the Supreme Soul, used to tolerate all those utterings of mine, excusing me exactly as a true friend excuses his true friend, or a father excuses his son. Very similar to the verses of the 11th chapter. Since the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, is all perfect, his transcendental pastime with his pure devotees never lack anything in any respect. Either as a friend, son, or lover, the Lord relishes the reproaches of friends, parents, or fiancés more than the Vedic hymns offered to him by great learned scholars and religionists in an official fashion. So Krishna is, that is why Krishna is very special. He is very possessive Lord. He does not foster only formal relationship. Formal relationship is with Lord Vishnu. There cannot be any informal relationship with Lord Vishnu. Not possible. You cannot, place your hand on the shoulders of Lord Vishnu. Has anyone ever dared to do it? Not possible. What they can do, they can only stand at the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu and offer prayers or offer, pardon. That's it. Nothing more. There cannot be any pastimes, playful pastimes with Lord Vishnu. Even with Lord Ram. Vibhishan and Guha are supposed to be the friends of Lord Ram, but they have to be within the etiquette. They cannot breach the etiquette. But Krishna Shakha and the Gopis, the Gopas and the Gopis, or even Nanda and Yashoda, or even here Arjuna, they were not bound by any etiquette. There was free flow of loving feelings and exchange, where this veneration, this respect and honor was minimized, and intimacy and sweetness was maximized. So here Arjuna is remembering those loving exchanges with Krishna, what he shared. And Krishna always prefers such loving exchanges from his devotees rather than the official hymns and glorification made by various scholars and Vedantists. Soham Nipendra Rahita Purushottamena Sakhya Priyena Soharda Hidayena Sunya Adhavanya Urukrama Parigraham Angarakshan Gopera Sadbir Abaleva Vinirjito Asmi. O Emperor, now I am separated from my friend and dearmost well-wisher, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore my heart appears to be void of everything. In the absence, I have been defeated by a number of infidel cowherd men while I was guarding the bodies of all the wives of Krishna. The very famous instance that when Krishna left and Arjuna was to escort all the queens of Dwarika from Dwarika to Hastinapur, so he was attacked by the infidels, the normal people, the cowherd community. And to the great shock and surprise, Arjuna lost to all of them. This important point in this verse is how it was possible that Arjuna could be defeated by a gang of ignoble cowherd men, and how such mundane cowherd men could touch the bodies of the wives of Lord Krishna, who were under the protection of Arjuna. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has justified the contradiction by research in the Vishnu Purana and Brahma Purana. In these Puranas, it is said that once the fair denizens of heaven means the Apsaras, pleased Ashtavakra Muni by their service and were blessed by the Munis to have the Supreme Lord as their husband. Ashtavakra Muni was curved in 8 joints of his body, and thus he used to move in a peculiar curved manner. The daughters of the demigod could not check their laughter upon seeing the movements of the Muni. And the Muni, being angry at them, cursed them that they would be kidnapped by Rose, even though they would get the Lord as their husband. Later on, the girls again satisfied the Muni by their prayers, and the Muni blessed them that they would regain their husband even after being kidnapped by the Rose. So, in order to keep the words of the great Muni, the Lord himself kidnapped his wives from the protection of Arjuna. Otherwise, they would have at once vanished from the scene as soon as they were touched by the Rose. Besides that, some of the gopis who prayed to become wives of the Lord returned to their respective positions after their desire was fulfilled. After the departure of Lord Krishna, he wanted to all his entourage back to Godhead, and they were called back under different conditions only. Prabhupada's disciples said after the departure of Lord Krishna, he wanted all his entourage back to Godhead, including the Pandavas. So they were called back under different conditions only. Tadve dhanushta ईशवासा रथो हयस्ते सोहम रथी नरपत्यो यत अनामन्ति सर्वं शनेना तद अभूद असद ईशरिक्तम भस्मं हुतं कुहकारद्धम इवोक्तमुष्याम. I have the very same Gandiv bow and the same arrows, the same chariot drawn by the same horses, and I use them, the same Arjuna, to whom all the kings offered their due respects. But in the absence of Lord Krishna, all of them, at a moment's notice, have become null and void. It is exactly like offering clarified butter into ashes, accumulating money with a magic wand, and sowing seeds in the barren land. As we have discussed more than once, one should not be puffed up by borrowed plumes. You know this concept of borrowed plumes? How many of you know what is a borrowed plume? In ISKCON, it is very popular. Borrowed plum. You don't know? In the scholarly circle, this phrase is very popular. Actually, if some devotee gives a good class or he gives a good presentation, so whenever we congratulate him, so he confesses that it is a borrowed plum. अभी समझ में आया? That he has taken the content from someone else. It is not his. It is not his original work. Anyone and everyone, whoever is speaking is all borrowed plum. Why? Because everything is coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees. The scriptures are coming from whom? From the Lord and Srila Vyasadeva. And the explanations are coming from whom? The various acharyas. Like we saw, that is quoted, the two pramanas were given. That why, how could it be that the infidels could kidnap the queens and how Arjuna could lose to them? So these two evidences Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is quoting. What were the name of the Puranas? Which Purana? Two Puranas. Let me see how effectively you are hearing. अभी पढ़ा ना हमने दो पुराण का रेफरेंस था. यस प्रियंका.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Vishnu Puran and Brahma Puran.
Vishnu Puran and
Brahma Puran.
Brahma Puran. So this is the difference of hearing. This is what is called hearing with heart. If you are hearing with heart, everything will go into. And if you are not hearing, here we are just sitting here and the mind is wandering somewhere. Then one cannot hear. So they found the evidence that it was actually Krishna who came as infidel cows, cowherd boys, and he kidnapped. And of course, Arjuna cannot win over Krishna. He can win over anyone else, but here Krishna made him lose, and he kidnapped all the queens. So borrowed plum means that which is not one's own. It is not patent, neither it is copyright. And one has borrowed from someone else. This is the uh, concept of someone else. So we should be very honest. Many years back, I met His Grace Rukmini Krishna Prabhu. I had heard his lecture on Kartik, the glories of Kartik, many years back. So I congratulated him that Prabhuji, I heard your lecture and I was so inspired. You quoted from so many literatures, so many shastras, so many verses which I never knew. Immediately he gave me a clarification that Prabhu, that is not my lecture. I heard Bhakti Rasamrita Swami's Maharaj lecture and I presented it as Maharaj presented. So everything, the glory does not belong to me, it belongs to Bhakti Rasamrita Swami Maharaj. So if we do that, then we will keep finding, Krishna will keep bestowing us the right information, the right source, the right knowledge. And if we try to take our own name, fame, and glory, then we'll be doomed. The Prabhupada said that as we have discussed more than once, one should not be puffed up by borrowed plumes. All energy and power that derive from the Supreme Source, Lord Krishna. And they act as long as he desires and cease to function as soon as he withdraws. All electrical energies are received from the powerhouse, and as soon as the powerhouse stops supplying energy, the bulbs and machines are of no use. In a moment's time, such energies can be generated or withdrawn by the supreme will of the Lord. Material civilization without the blessing of the Lord is child's play only. As long as the parents allow the child to play, it is all right. As soon as the parents withdraw their permission, the child has to stop. Human civilization and all activities thereof must be dovetailed with the supreme blessing of the Lord. And without this blessing, all advancement of human civilization is like the decoration on a dead body. What is the decoration on the dead body? We have studied this. Prabhupada explained the decoration of the dead body. Do you remember? In the initial chapter, Prabhupada said the decoration of the dead body. In what context it was said, decoration of the dead body? Anyone remembers? What is decoration of the dead body? Prabhupada, I think the material civilization is compared to the decoration of the dead body. What is decoration of the dead body? Bolo. We're not hearing for the first time. When Narad Muni came to give the inspiration to Vyasadeva, he said that decoration of the dead body. पढ़ चुके हैं ना हम, उसका प्रेजेंटेशन भी हो गया. 4th चैप्टर प्रेजेंटेशन किसने दिया था? बोलो, who gave the presentation on the 4th chapter?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
हाँ.
I
So did you read this decoration of the dead body? I think it is in 4th only or 5th. I think it is in 4th only. Okay, बताओ what is decoration of the dead body? Please be fast, quick. बोलो बाबा, टाइम इज जस्ट फ्लाइंग बाय, 9 बज गया है। नहीं पता डेकोरेशन ऑफ द डेड बॉडी क्या है? It is the 5th chapter, sorry, not 4th, 5th chapter. Anyway, I will not discuss. I have already discussed this. Find out who gave 5th chapter.
प्रभु जी, हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, मैंने किया था।
हाँ, वायसम तीर्थ, ध्यान है आपको?
यस प्रभु जी।
क्या है वायसम तीर्थ?
प्रभु जी, ये कौवे का तीर्थ से नाम।
हम्म, कौवे का तीर्थ स्थान है, वो तो ठीक है, क्या मतलब क्या है? वहां कौन नहीं जाता?
एक्चुअली प्रभु जी, द डिवोटीज हु आर ग्लोरीफाइड द सुप्रीम लॉर्ड, वो उसमें जाते नहीं है।
यहाँ दी स्वान लाइक डिवोटी सब जाते हैं। देखो सुन लो, जो क्रो लाइक डिवोटी हैं वो जाएंगे, लेकिन जो स्वान लाइक डिवोटीज हैं वो नहीं जाएंगे वायसम तीर्थ। जो एक्चुअली डिवोटी नहीं है वो उधर ही जाएंगे, वायसम तीर्थ में जाएंगे।
Yes, प्रभु।
तो यहाँ प्रभुपाद जी लिख रहे हैं, सो डेकोरेटिंग द डेड बॉडी मीन्स not caring for the real vital element which is Atma, not endeavoring for spiritual elevation or self-realization, but being in the bodily consciousness. Body is already dead. If one is trying to gratify the body, then what is he doing? He is decorating the dead body. Prabhupada says all advancement of human civilization is like the decoration of a dead body. All advancement. It is said here that the dead civilization, its activities are something like the pouring of clarified butter on ashes. As an example, पकड़िए, preaching करने के लिए सब बहुत important है, ये principles पता होने चाहिए. It should be very clear. I met one devotee, he's from congregation, he preaches. He heard my class 2 days back, and he said the example that you gave of a secretary with so many persons in the office is a perfect example to explain to others who do not agree that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. So how it came to me? Because one devotee gave that example and noted it down. If you have to preach, you have to be very, very sharp. Otherwise, you will not be able to preach. People are going to preach you. They're going to defeat you. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Siddhanta janiya chittete na koriya alas. If a lazy man who is not making effort, he can never ever know what is the Siddhant or the philosophy. You will never know. I have seen so many. I was amazed when His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj came. Every time my eyes were more on Gauranga Prabhu, observing him, how he hears. And I was seeing that after so many years or after so much of proximity and association, Gauranga Prabhu was every time taking notes of whatever Maharaj was speaking. We think, अरे हमें सब पता है महाराज क्या बोलेंगे. मैं तो इतने साल से हूँ, 40 साल से उनके साथ हूँ. और हमने अपने गुरु महाराज का एक सेक्रेटरी देखा, वो महाराज बोलते थे उससे पहले बोलता था कि महाराज अभी ये बोलेंगे, अभी वो बोलेंगे. So how he will receive the mercy? And I was very inspired by Gaurang Prabhu. 3 times I observed him, and all the 3 times I observed him, he was taking notes. He has a small writing pad with him, and whatever Maharaj was speaking, whatever he found important, he was noting it. If you do not do that, then this philosophy will not get in. And as the Kali Yuga will progress, this is what Prabhupada is saying. As the Kali Yuga will progress, what one will be busy in? They will be busy in decorating the dead body. All advancement of human civilization is like the decoration of the dead body. It is said here that a dead civilization's activities are something like the pouring of clarified butter on ashes. हाँ? जब पूरी लकड़ी जल गई है, धुआं हो चुकी है, राख बन गई है, तो उसमें घी डालने से क्या होगा? जगह होगा क्या? नहीं होगा. अभी सब यही कर रहे हैं, डेकोरेटिंग डेड बॉडी और pouring घी on ashes. The accumulation of money by a magic wand and the sowing of seed in barren land. जो प्रभुपाद जी कितने सारे एग्जांपल्स दे रहे हैं. Accumulation of money by a magic wand. What it means? Accumulation of money by a magic wand. इंग्लिश बहुत इंप्रूव हो जाएगी अगर आप प्रभुपाद जी के पर्पस ध्यान से पढ़ोगे तो. आपकी इंग्लिश वुड बी वन ऑफ द बेस्ट. यू कैन एनी टाइम outsmart anyone else. Your vocabulary will become so rich, and your logic, your reasoning, your argument will become so sharp. What it means, accumulation of money with the magic wand. परपुट क्या पढ़ोगे, क्या रिलीज करोगे? प्रभुपाद कितने सारे एग्जांपल हैं. डेकोरेशन ऑफ द डेड बॉडी, pouring घी ऑन द ashes. यहाँ बोल रहे हैं accumulation of money by the magic wand. क्या मतलब है? नहीं पता. सबको सबको यही चल रहा है अभी प्रयास कि वो मैजिक बैंड मिल जाए, बस वो जादू की छड़ी मिल जाए. वो जादू की छड़ी हाथ में आनी चाहिए. क्या करेंगे? जो भी टच करेंगे सोना मिल जाएगा. हाँ, पैसा खूब कमा लेंगे. कमाना नहीं है, प्राप्त कर लेंगे. कमाए तो ज्यादा नहीं सकते, कमा के तो नहीं मिलेगा. तो जादू की छड़ी मिल जाए. हाँ, जादू की छड़ी मिले तो जितना चाहे उतना सोना मिलेगा. एंड सोइंग द सीड इन बैरन लैंड. ओके, टेक 2 more verses. राजन् त्वया अनुप्रष्ठनम सुहृदम्. राजं त्वया अनुपृष्ठनम सुहृदम्. नाश्रुत्पुरे विप्रसपा विमूढनम्. निघ्नहतं मुष्टिभिः मीत वरुणीम्. मदरिं पीत्वा मद उन्मथिता चेतसाम्. अजानतम् एव अन्योन्यं च तु पंच अवशेषिता. O king, since you have asked me about our friend and relatives in the city of Dwarka, I will inform you that all of them were cursed by the Brahmanas. And as a result, they become intoxicated with wine made by putrefied rice and fought among themselves with sticks, not even recognizing one another. Now all but 4 or 5 of them are dead and gone. So what happened to the residents of the Dwarka? We all see the pastime which was enacted by the Lord. Before he left this planet Earth, he wanted to get rid of the Yadavas. Why? Because they had become a burden. They were intoxicated. They were intoxicated with pride and power. So Krishna made them fight each other and kill each other. This is which opulence of the Lord is displayed by this pastime? Why only Ramya has to answer? For so many years you are hearing philosophy. Manoram, how many years? It is more than 10 years. Huh? Which opulence is exhibited? Completely blank. No clue. दयाशील, आप बताइए। यही नहीं पता ऑपुलेंस क्या है। See, so much time they are wasting. बोलिए रम्या।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
ठीक ठीक। टेक केयर ऑफ योर इको। दोनों का मोबाइल इतनी पास पास है तो इको आएगा। बोलिए।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी रिनाउंसिएशन।
Yes, renunciation, vairagya. This is vairagya. He is not attached. He is completely detached. He never allowed anyone to kill the Pandavas, but he himself made all his relatives got killed, kill each other. Why? Because they became a burden. Renunciation, detachment. प्रायणएतद् भगवता ईश्वरस्य विचेष्टितं मितो निगृह्णन्ति भूतानि भावयन्ति च यन्मिथा. Factually, this is all due to the supreme will of the Lord. The personality of Godhead, sometimes people kill one another, and other times they protect one another. According to the anthropologist, there is nature's law of struggle for existence and survival of the fittest. But they do not know that behind the law of nature is the supreme direction of the supreme personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed that the law of nature is executed under the direction of the Lord. Whenever, therefore, there is peace in the world, it must be known that it is due to the goodwill of the Lord. And whenever there is upheaval in the world, it is also due to the supreme will of the Lord. Not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Lord. Whenever, therefore, there is disobedience of the established rules enacted by the Lord, there is war between men and between nations. The surest way to the path of peace, therefore, is dovetailing everything with the established rule of the Lord. The established rule is that whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we sacrifice, or whatever we give in charity must be done to the full satisfaction of the Lord. What is the principle that Prabhupada is presenting here in this verse? The surest way of path of peace is to dovetail everything with the... Bolo? Which verse is this from Bhagavad Gita? प्रदीप, आपको क्या भगवद गीता बिल्कुल नहीं आता है? मतलब completely blank. You don't even attempt even one answer. For so many years, if you are studying, how is it that you are not...
करोसि यदस्नासि यज्जुहोसि ददासि यत् तपस्यासि कौन्तेय तत् कुरुषु अनुवर्तते.
Yes.
Yes.
This. Yat karoshi, yat ashnasi. Whatever action you perform, here it is. Dovetailing everything established with the rule of the Lord, that whatever we do, yat karoshi, and whatever we eat, yat ashnasi, yat dadati juhusi, yat. So everything, yat tapassasi kaunteya kurusva matarpunam. No one should do anything, eat anything, sacrifice anything, or give anything in charity against the will of the Lord. This is a very important, principle. And those who are aspiring to be devotees must follow it very strictly. Prabhupada is mentioning, no one should do anything. eat anything, sacrifice anything, or give anything in charity against the will of the Lord. Discretion is the better part of valor. This is another very important principle. That discretion is the better part of valor. And one must learn how to discriminate between actions which may be pleasing to the Lord and those which may not be pleasing to the Lord. An action is thus judged by the Lord's pleasure or displeasure. There is no room for personal whims. We must always be guided by the pleasure of the Lord. Such action is called yoga karmasu kaushalam, or actions performed which are linked with the Supreme Lord. That is the art of doing a thing perfectly. Hare Krishna. I'll stop here. So we see how deep is the impression in the heart of Arjuna, that he is acknowledging, he is actually confessing that whatever success or whatever achievement came, it is not because of me. It is only because of Krishna's special privilege and mercy on us. So this is the feeling of gratitude. In spiritual life, to the extent we are having gratitude, that attitude will enable us to advance, to overcome our anarthas. We all have our own, bonding of anarthas with us. How to overcome them is by this attitude of gratitude. To the extent we have gratitude, we can cross beyond. We can improve. We can change our nature. We can take to the real Swabhava, spiritual nature. And the conditioning will be loosened. Hare Krishna. I'll stop here. What is the report for book distribution? Manoram, Prabhu, you have sent me some, but some more are required. And there, Prabhu, I am shocked. You have given me so far only 9,000 rupees from IRA distribution. Are you hearing? That means not even 50 books.
49 books has been distributed. I'll compile other.
What a big achievement. In 15 days, in more than a month, 49 books you have distributed in IRI. You should give a certificate for it. Out of that 49 books, I think more than 10 books is taken by Shreya, more than 10 books by that new boy, and more than 10 books by Lenin. Lenin, sir. Huh? So how many books have you distributed to the students? In a strength of almost more than 1,000 students are there. And Manoram, you are going out again and distributing, or not only once you did that?
Yes, Prabhuji, every day I'm trying, Prabhuji, in the office. So, morning and evening, Prabhuji, after office hours and before, try to.
Make effort, Prabhu, otherwise purification will not happen. If we remain in our comfort zone and we remain within our, mind's sankalpa and vikalpa, then we will not get. This time our new boys, our PBT boys, they are selling Srimad Bhagavatam on the streets. This is happening for the first time. More than 100 sets they have distributed. And they are in Andhra Pradesh. They don't know the language also. They don't know the language. Still they are able to convince. Each Bhagavatam set they sell is not less than 10,000 rupees. Meeting for the first time unknown stranger people, not knowing their language, still, because they are making such sincere effort and such austerity they are doing, Krishna is reciprocating. They will break all the records this time. This much book distribution they are doing. And they will beat all the other book distributor teams. Why? Because they are putting such effort. Such attempt is there. It will depend. If you put the effort, you will get the reciprocation. If you don't put effort, it will not come. So please go out and distribute books. 2 days I was very much focused in this book distribution. Mostly it was sponsorship, but still you have to go and convince people. It's not easy. Nobody is willing to give his money. Everyone is wanting to receive money. No one wants to give charity. But if you go attempt, make an effort, make an appeal, most of them are willing to give. But if you don't approach and if you don't ask, then they will not come and tell you that please take. That will never happen. माननीय माता जी, आप कर रही हैं डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन? नहीं कर रही हैं?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। नहीं प्रभु जी, नहीं कर रही हूँ।
तो फिर आप प्रभुपाद के मूवमेंट में नहीं है, ये बिल्कुल क्लियर है, ये सबके लिए है। प्रभुपाद जी की सबसे पहली ये इंस्ट्रक्शन है, चैतन्य महाप्रभु की इंस्ट्रक्शन है, भारत भूमि तो होइले मनुष्य जन्म जा, जन्म सार्थक करी कर परोपकार। हमारा मूवमेंट भजनानंदी नहीं है। जानती है ना भजनानंदी का क्या मतलब होता है? वो सोच रहा है कि वो अपने आध्यात्मिक जीवन को सफल कर लेगा अपने प्रयास से, वो कभी नहीं होगा। जब तक दूसरों को आगे नहीं बढ़ाएंगे, उनका उपकार करने का प्रयास नहीं करेंगे, आगे कभी बढ़ ही नहीं सकते। करिए, वहां के लोकल सेंटर से लीजिए और दीजिए। मैं आज पुरुषोत्तम प्रभु के पास था, वो बता रहे थे कि वो अक्षय पात्र में काम करते हैं कि वहां पे गीता 280 रुपीज में दे रहे हैं। तो मैंने कहा फिर तो तुम्हारे लिए बहुत स्कोप है, निकालो। मैं तो तुम्हें 230 में दे रहा हूँ, पहुंचा के दे रहा हूँ, निकालो जितनी मर्जी निकाल सकते हो। फ्रेंड, आप नहीं सुन रहे हैं? सबको हमारी गीता आपकी बार सबसे लो प्राइस में, सेम बाकी सेंटर्स के लिए भी। उसके बाद भी आप नहीं निकाल पा रहे तो फिर उसका मतलब ये प्रयास नहीं हो रहा है। प्रयास नहीं हो रहा, प्रयास करिए। आपकी बार गीता बहुत रिकॉर्ड में निकल रही है, सारे रिकॉर्ड टूटेंगे आपकी बार। उसके बाद भी अगर हम नहीं निकाल पा रहे हैं, अब फिर तो देन वी आर लैकिंग इन आवर एफर्ट, सीरियसली लॉकिंग। अंदर से स्ट्रांग डिजायर भी नहीं है करने का। करिए, अभी थोड़े से दिन बचे हैं, 15 दिन बचे हैं। मत आइए सैटरडे संडे, कोई जरूरत नहीं है। अब बाहर जाइए, आपसे नहीं हो रहा है तो मेट्रो स्टेशन पर खड़े होकर करिए। कर रहे हैं ना बाकी सब डिवोटीज, कैसे निकाल रहे हैं? इतनी कार्टन कार्टन निकाल रहे हैं, स्टॉप लाइट पे जाके निकाल दे रहे हैं। अभी तो बड़े दे आर एम्पावर्ड। पहले 2 गीता, 5 गीता, 10 गीता लगाते थे, उसमें तो बहुत निकाल दिया। अभी तो पूरे पूरे कार्टन निकालते हैं। भगवत गीता के भी सैकड़ों कार्टन निकाले, वो 1-2 गीता नहीं देते, पूरा कार्टन दे रहे हैं। भागवतम का पूरा सेट दे रहे हैं। क्यों? क्योंकि इच्छा शक्ति है, दे हैव दिस डिजायर, एंड टू फुलफिल द डिजायर दे आर स्ट्रेचिंग, दे आर ओवर स्ट्रेचिंग। तो प्लीज डू दैट, प्लीज डोंट वेस्ट दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी। ठीक है? मैंने आपको उस दिन भी बोला था, कुछ दिन पहले बोला था ना,
जी प्रभु जी।
आप प्रयास करेंगे तो 150 गीता नहीं बटेगी क्या? फिर रूप गोस्वामी बताते हैं कि हमारी जितनी क्षमता है, अगर हम उससे कम सेवा करते हैं तो ये सेवा अपराध है। नेक्टर ऑफ डिवोशन में है। रम्या, क्या हुआ? आप भी प्रयास करो।
हरे कृष्ण
बोलो,
प्रभु जी। जी प्रभु जी।
बोलो। इसमें ह्यूमिलिएशन होता है ना, क्योंकि आपको निवेदन करना पड़ेगा दूसरे से, और देखोगे दूसरे क्या करेंगे, वो आपको प्यूरिफाई करेंगे। और कभी फोन नहीं उठाएंगे, मैक्सिमम तो फोन ही नहीं उठाते, पता है। मेरा भी फोन नहीं उठाते, बोले इस समय पांडव प्रेम प्रभु का फोन क्यों आ रहा है? गीता कराएंगे। मेरा फोन तो कभी करते नहीं पूरे साल में तो कभी फोन नहीं आता उनका, खाली दिसंबर में आता है। मैं भी सब गया, बोले प्रभु जी आप तो साल में एक ही बार आते हैं। मैंने कहा हाँ, मैं साल में एक ही बार आता हूँ तुम्हारा सहयोग लेने के लिए। तो हंसने लगे था। बोले ठीक है, अब मानेंगे तो है नहीं बिना लिए। मैं कहा तो फिर तुम प्रेम से दे दो, तुम्हें पता है मैं नहीं मानूंगा तो दे दो, देना तो पड़ेगा ही। तो हंसने लगे सब, देना दिया। मैंने सबसे ज्यादा लिया, किसी को कम नहीं करने दिया। प्लीज निकलिए, प्रयास करिए। हाँ, नहीं तो वही हो जाएगा। हाँ, इस जन्म में भी रहेगा कि डेकोरेशन ऑफ डेड बॉडी नहीं करना है। वी शुड नॉट डू दैट। वी शुड नॉट वेस्ट आवर टाइम, आवर लाइफ अगेन फॉर ट्राइंग टू डेकोरेट द डेड बॉडी। वी ट्राई टू डेकोरेट कृष्णा, द मैसेज ऑफ कृष्णा। इरेस्पेक्टिव हम कितनी निकाल पाए, कितना एफर्ट डालेंगे, कितनी देर हम जाके तपस्या करेंगे, दैट विल प्लीज कृष्णा। अभी यहाँ लिखा है, डिस्क्रिशन इज द better part of valor. So we should have that discrimination. What will please Krishna and what will not please Krishna. दिसंबर और जनवरी में अगर हम बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन के लिए टाइम नहीं दे रहे हैं और अपनी बाकी चीजों में फंसे हुए हैं, then we are not in Prabhupada's movement. It is only a show. अभी कीर्तन करने तो जाते ही नहीं है। कीर्तन करने जाते हैं आप, बिरलामृत उठाइए, पढ़िए। जो पहले डिवोटीज थे वो इतनी जल्दी क्यों इतना ट्रांसफॉर्म हो गए, प्यूरिफाई हो गए? क्योंकि ये दो एक्टिविटीज उनकी प्राइम थी। They went out for some kirtan and they always went out for book distribution. जितना आप करेंगे उतना प्यूरिफाई होंगे, उतना रेसिप्रोकेशन मिलेगा। मैं आपको बता नहीं सकता, 2 दिन इतना स्पेशल था। 2 दिन में कितने लोगों से मिल लिया, बहुत कुछ, भगवान की बड़ी कृपा थी। कोविड के बाद से मैं कहूंगा इस दिन, मतलब पहली बार वृंदावन में इतनी कम भीड़ थी। भीड़ ही नहीं थी, खाली पड़ा था। और सारे वृंदावन वासी आश्चर्य करते कि खाली कैसे। पूरे 2 दिन पहले खाली नहीं था, पूरा खाली था। मेरी गाड़ी बिल्कुल अंदर तक चली गई, कोई दिक्कत नहीं। मैं इधर में 3 बार वृंदावन गया हूँ, तीनों बार गाड़ी पूरी अंदर तक गई अपने मंदिर तक, किसी ने रोका ही नहीं। कोई डिफिकल्टी नहीं हुआ, कहीं कोई डिफिकल्टी हुआ ही नहीं। तो ये कृपा है, प्रभुपाद जी कृपा है। प्रभुपाद जी ने ऑलरेडी बुक्स डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर दी है ऑलरेडी। उन्होंने ये सारे ग्रंथ पाठ रखे। जैसे अभी अर्जुन बोल रहे हैं, अपने हार्ट से बोल रहे हैं कि मैंने कुछ नहीं किया है भैया। किसको बोल रहे हैं वो? अर्जुन किसको बोल रहे हैं? ये सारे वर्सेस अर्जुन किसको सुना रहे हैं?
युधिष्ठिर महाराज।
युधिष्ठिर महाराज। बोले आप समझ रहे हैं मैंने युद्ध किया, मैंने इनको मारा, उसको मारा, तो मैंने कुछ नहीं किया है। तो प्लीज प्रयास करिए और अपनी ईगो बीच में मत लाइए, क्योंकि ईगो लाएंगे तो फिर बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन नहीं हो सकता। ईगो को साइड करना पड़ेगा। ईगो को ही तो प्योरीफाई करना है। ईगो की वजह से तो हम यहाँ फंसे हुए हैं। फंसे हुए यहाँ क्यों है? ड्यू टू फॉल्स ईगो। ठीक है मानिनी जी, आपकी जैसी थोड़ी तबीयत ठीक हो जाती है,
जी प्रभु जी। हरे
पूरा प्रयास करिए। हाँ, प्रभुपाद की बुक्स हैं, किसी भी सेंटर से आए, कहीं से भी आए, उससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है? लेकिन मैसेज जाना चाहिए, एटलीस्ट इंस्ट्रूमेंट बने, इंस्ट्रूमेंट बने। प्रयास करिए। अक्षय, आपने कितनी बुक्स डिस्ट्रीब्यूट की?
जी प्रभु, 2 ठो गया।
क्यों? आपको किसी ने रोका है क्या?
नहीं प्रभु जी,
करने की इच्छा नहीं है?
करेंगे प्रभु।
कितनी? 100 बुक से कम तो होनी ही नहीं चाहिए किसी की भी। और मैं नहीं मानता कि नहीं कर सकते। मिनिमम 100 बुक्स तो आराम से डिस्ट्रीब्यूट होनी चाहिए। थोड़ा भी प्रयास करेंगे बाहर जाके तो 100 बुक्स हो जाएंगे। जाना पड़ेगा, शुरू में प्यूरिफिकेशन होगा। पहले मैं
जी
भेजता था रविंदर प्रभु को और प्रियंका माता जी को, ये लोग आके बताते थे 4-4 5-5 घंटे गए मेट्रो स्टेशन पे। शुरू में नहीं हो रही थी। अभी आपकी बार नहीं गए आप लोग?
जी, नहीं स्टार्ट की जाएंगे, कोशिश करेंगे प्रभु जी।
नहीं, मैं रविंदर, कोशिश क्या करनी है? व्हाट इज नॉनसेंस ऑफ कोशिश? प्रसाद लेने में कोशिश करनी पड़ती है क्या? ये खाते हैं।
नहीं
हाँ, कोशिश का मतलब है मैं नहीं करूंगा। कोशिश क्या होता है?
प्रभु जी, ये दोनों को कोल्ड कफ है तो हम निकले नहीं है, निकलेंगे।
निकलोगे तो कोल्ड कफ दूर हो जाएगा, घर में रहोगे तो और समस्या बढ़ जाएगा। बाहर निकलो, इतना तेज सन है, इतना ब्राइट सन है इस बार। सनशाइन इतनी ब्राइट है, अमेजिंग। मैं आज वापस आ रहा था, इतना ब्राइट सनशाइन था। डेली ब्राइट सनशाइन है, पिछले 10 दिनों से तो एक भी दिन क्लाउडेड नहीं हुआ। हुआ क्या प्रियंका? फिर तो और उससे बढ़िया फेवरेबल कौन सा वेदर चाहिए? ये सब बहानेबाजी है, दिस इज ऑल लेम एक्सक्यूज। then you cannot be a warrior. Then you are not a warrior. And those who are not warrior, those who are not revolutionary, how can they be in Prabhupada's movement? प्रभुपाद 70 वर्ष की उम्र में जब प्रभुपाद पहुंचे वहां पे सितंबर हो गया था, स्नोफॉल हो रहा था। अगले 4 महीने 6 महीने स्नो में रहे। हमको तो स्नोफॉल में जाए कुछ नहीं करना पड़ रहा। करेंगे हम? नहीं करेंगे। अभी कोई सर्दी नहीं हो रही है, बाहर जाओ सब सर्दी दूर हो जाएगा, भाग जाएगा। आप करो ना, आप करो, आपकी कॉन्शियसनेस, बॉडी कॉन्शियसनेस से बाहर हो जाओ। बाहर जाके बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करो, आप बॉडी कॉन्शियसनेस से ऊपर उठ जाओ। कोई भी इस डिवोशनल सर्विस का पार्ट आप सिंसियरली करो, इमीडिएटली यू विल फील अबव बॉडी कॉन्शियसनेस। So please don't allow this opportunity to go a waste. I'm appealing and begging each one of you. And go out, leave everything else, drop it. Nothing will change. कोई जमीन नहीं फट जाएगी, आसमान नहीं गिर जाएगा, कुछ नहीं होगा, सब वैसे ही रहेगा। हरे कृष्णा। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। All good. And why you have to ask? I told you that every Saturday I will come. So why there is a doubt? When I have told you, na, if I am not coming, then I will inform you. Why should I leave my service? Hare Krishna.